Okay, sorry about the delay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. We had a little situation. Gotta get myself situated here. Oh my goodness. Who's ready for the fast to be over? Who's ready for that? My goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay. What the Lord said we're talking about today. So this is it's going to be a practical, like a practical part 2, okay, of yesterday's teaching on narcissism in marriage. And a lot of people were having a lot of kind of revelations about what was shared, which is, it's not easy. It's not easy when we go through life thinking, normally it's Testimony Tuesday, but we're doing a part 2 of yesterday's teaching. So we're actually going to be starting a new format. I'm responding to somebody who's asking. Normally this is a Tuesday. Normally we do Testimony Tuesdays. We're actually going to be rolling out a really exciting new format for Testimony Tuesdays. It's going to be an interview podcast style. So I'm going to be live interviewing people with testimonies. How amazing is that? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be next level. Right now on Tuesdays, we typically just read, read people's testimonies, which is great, but we're going to start every Tuesday, somebody, normally it'll be someone in this community who has had an incredible restoration and is coming on to share their story. How amazing is that? I'm so excited. We already have 2 lined up and they're so good. And so people are asking, when is the fast over? It is over. Thank you for the gems. It is over tomorrow or whatever, the 22nd. Some of you are already in the 22nd at 3 p.m. So at 3 p.m., go nuts, people, is all I'm saying. I'm having spaghetti. I'm having my daughter and her best friend over, and I'm making spaghetti, and I am just so excited. But I have to say this fast has been absolutely incredible. It is, I am definitely going to be continuing some of the things. I'm having Olive Garden. I'm definitely going to be I have discovered, okay, can I just, while we're having people come in, can I just tell you, I make the most insanely delicious chocolate overnight oats. I cannot even deal with how insanely delicious this, thank you for the gems, this dish is. I cannot deal. And also I cannot deal with how easy it is to make. It is insane. It's like a dessert. I have 2 a day, which is a lot. And I get those little, they're not mason jars, but they're the things with the suction-y thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like a suction-y thing, and then you clip it in. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even deal. Alexandra, ask me for the recipe. Just remind me to give you the recipe. We have a, don't we have, yeah, in the fast, in the flesh crucifixion fast, we have recipes, right? So we'll put it in there. I'll put it in there. So go look for it. I am going to continue to have that. That is, unless I decide to go keto, in which case, unfortunately, I will be saying goodbye to that. Fresh baked bagels. It's really simple. Someone wants the details. Okay, it's very simple. It is overnight oats, raw cacao powder, 1.5 cups of, am I buffering? You guys, are you kidding? Are you serious right now? It looks like I have full bars, but I was having Wi-Fi issues. Can you guys see me? Can you see me? Am I buffering or what? Oh, Turkish food. Oh my goodness. Video is fine. Okay, thank you. Okay, so rolled oats, 1.5 cups of milk, which I've been using raw milk. Raw cacao powder, raw almond butter, maple syrup, which I guess technically that's cooked, but whatever. I don't get legalistic about this, but, and then, vanilla powder and chia seeds. And you just whip it all up. Oh my God. It is so decadent. It is decadent. Oh my goodness. Oh, anyway, it's better now. Okay, great. Overnight. Yeah, I'll give you the actual recipe. Jennifer, you stole my thunder. You stole my thunder. Yeah, that's the teaching for tomorrow. The teaching for tomorrow is that tomorrow going into the next day is the day that the Israelites received the evil report. So the last day of our fast is the day that the Israelites received the evil report. How crazy is that? It's okay. It's all right. Okay, so today I have some questions from you all about like practically how to navigate narcissism in marriage. Oh gosh, okay, I gotta address something here. Alexander said, I don't do sourdough, but I started milling my own flour. Did you know bread is supposed to hold all the nutrients we pretty much need? Okay, so here's the crazy thing about that is I am gonna start making my own bread and milling my own flour, like after this fast. I have a friend who does this. She mills her own flour. She's told me like what mill to get, the wheat berry, whatever to get. And she has said, I told her she needs to start a company called The Bread of Life, because she said she talks about this bread as medicine. Like she's like, I take 2 slices a day. Like that's literally what she says. She's like, I take 2 slices a day. I'm like, you just said I take 2 slices a day. She's like, I know, because it's like supplements. And she said my hair is growing like a weed. She said my nails are growing like crazy and they're so incredibly strong. And she said her pastor's wife was having like serious menopause issues. And she started having this bread and they're completely gone. All her issues are completely gone. You all are having your own conversation in the good, like nobody's listening to me. They're all like having their own conversation in the comments. It's hilarious. So I'll just talk to the people who happen to be listening to me. Anyway, her pastor's wife had menopause, like crazy menopause symptoms, all completely gone. Her dad had suffered from like IBS and gut issues his whole life, I guess, or for decades, totally gone. Okay, he has no gut issues anymore. This bread is healing people's ailments. It is like insane. Oh, Sue Becker has a similar testimony as your friend. Wow. I'll have to tune her in to, I don't know that she's mentioned Sue Becker. So anyway, how crazy. How absolutely crazy. She makes her own crackers. She's like, this bread, these crackers I make, yeah, I'll give you the recipe. I'll give you the recipe for the bread. She's like, I cannot even tell you how delicious. She told me where to get my wheat berries. She told me where to get them. This is the revelation God gave me in this fast about fresh milling bread. What is happening right now? This is super weird. Bread of life, hair growth, no gut issues, healing bread, intrigued. Yeah. If you research a biblical diet, bread is a main meal. Yep. Did I hear we're having a baking session during our retreat? That would be fun. You know what is so funny? I think I'm going to be driving, you guys. You guys, by the way, come to the retreat. Come to the retreat. We still have some tickets available. We want to sell them out. But first of all, because we picked a place that can seat 65 people or can hold 65 people. So we really want 65 of you there. We want more there. But we had to pick a place that holds 65 people. It's going to be amazing. It is going to be an incredible, incredible time. So come to the retreat. I don't think that I have like a banner or anything for it. But yeah, Alexander just put can you pin that, Alexandra? No, I can't pin it. I don't know. So weird. You have questions about the retreat. Okay, well, what are your questions? Let's answer your questions. It's going to be incredible. It is September, I think it's 9th through the 13th. It's in Tennessee. It's in the Smoky Mountains. It's in a gorgeous, like incredibly gorgeous location. And I think I'm going to be driving, which is insane because it's 24 hours. And I'm going to be bringing my cross. I think we got to have the cross there. So, and if you cannot make it, $250 is, you got your plane ticket, amazing. $250 is the price for the whole weekend, including all your food and everything. It does not include lodging, but it does include all, like the whole weekend and all the events, and also all the food. All your food is covered for the whole weekend. You have to come. We honestly, at $250, we're not like, that's not padded a lot. You know what I mean? It's really not. Yes, you get your own lodging, but there are lots of options on campus. There are beautiful cabins that sleep anywhere from like 6 to like 24 women. There are already women who have cabins who I believe are still looking for people to share and to share, to get a bed there. Yeah, it's going to be an incredible time. And I think I am going to be driving, and I think I am going to be bringing the cross. I think we need to have the cross there. Yeah. So anyway, it looks like we are going to be having a little, we're going to be going from like a fast to a feast and sharing our journeys with the bread of life. How interesting is that? Okay. All right. On to the topic for today, which is narcissism in your marriage, how to like practically, the retreat is in Tennessee, Sevierville. I think that's how you say it. I don't really actually know. So anyway, focus. Actually, hold on. Alexandra, can you make a note? Sorry, what just happened? Can you make a note, Alexandra, to we need to talk at our next session, our next meeting about that app. We have to decide on an app too. So when you buy your ticket, you are going to be invited into an app. We haven't figured out which one yet. I'm pretty sure we know which one it is, where we're going to be communicating with you about the retreat, and you can communicate with each other and like all the things. Okay. So anyway, so today we're talking about narcissism in your marriage, and we're talking about the loss of identity. Now that might seem strange, because the way that I, build this session was we're going to be talking about how to practically navigate your marriage challenges, okay? Practically and biblically. So why would it be about the loss of identity? So when I was in prayer about this yesterday, that's what I heard. It was like, this is about the loss of identity. So if you remember the homework from yesterday was to go to Borderliner Notes, at Borderliner Notes, and watch these incredible interviews with diagnosed narcissists. Okay. So people who have been through a level of therapy, who understand that they're narcissists. And we're talking like pathological narcissism, okay? Narcissism that ruins your life, right? That is like, makes it extremely difficult to like hold down a job, have relationships, like, okay? And so who have a level of self-awareness, right? Who have a level of like, they can talk about their affliction from a place of self-awareness. It is fascinating. And it is, I'm telling you, the reason I assigned this as homework, the reason the Lord assigned this as homework, is because you have got to start understanding the inner life of your husband. I'm talking to wives, right? It is so easy when we are on the other side of the receiving end, okay, of some pretty serious narcissistic, behavior. Alexandra, can you drop the link to that one interview from yesterday? If you wouldn't mind, that would be amazing. It's very easy to demonize your husband. Okay. In fact, somebody came on the live stream yesterday and said narcissists are the devil. And I was like, excuse me, check yourself. But it's very easy. It is so easy to demonize our husbands. It is so easy to see them as monsters. I have called Andrew a monster more than once, because that's how they behave. It is monstrous behavior. But what is so important is to understand the torment. I mean, the absolute torment and torture that these people, that is the experience of themselves, like the way they experience themselves and their inner life daily. I'm surprised they're alive. Like I really am. I'm like, how do you function? I mean, you need Jesus. Like you really need Jesus. It is alarming. And one of the things that shocked me so much, and it wasn't just there's one guy, Jacob, I think his name is Jacob, who's extremely articulate about himself and his inner experience and his experience with people. And he, the way that he talks about himself, like he so easily says things that I think a lot of us have felt from time to time, but would never admit to. Like I hate, like he'll just be like, I hate myself. Like I absolutely hate myself. I'm absolutely disgusting. Or he'll say, my past self, very interesting. There's another woman who was interviewed, and she talks about her child self as they. She's so completely dissociated from her child self, so disgusted with her child self. They're both of the people that I watched. I think there was even a third that I watched. I can't remember. Very similar. Yeah, this is the one named Jacob. Very similar ways of talking about themselves and their past. Very interesting. They both, like, they hate, I mean, they're just like, you know, when I was 13, I was just disgusting. Like, I was just completely disgusting. I was pathetic. I was just totally pathetic. Like, the ways that they are willing to talk about themselves, how they saw themselves in the past, or even sometimes how they see themselves now, is like, how do you, like, most people wouldn't, like, they wouldn't, most people who are way more healed, you know, and less like pathological than these two people, wouldn't say those things. Like, it would be too hard to face. It'd be too hard to admit and face, and it'd be too shameful. But they're just like, yeah, like, I was absolutely disgusting and pathetic. I'm like, whoa. So you really get to hear what it is like on the inside, the loneliness. And this is how crazy, you guys, because Job 41 explains that loneliness. The self-aware narcissist, nameless narcissist is what he's on. Yeah, I think he's on YouTube as the nameless narcissist. There's another guy that wasn't interviewed on any of these things that is, I found him on TikTok, and he is also a diagnosed narcissist, but he's like very much in recovery. And he talks a lot about the strategies of a narcissist and what they will and won't do, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the reason why the Lord is, prescribed this to this community as homework is because it is important to understand and start to have compassion for what is happening on the inside of your husband, okay? I know that it looks monstrous on the outside. I know that, you know, you probably think like, I would never do these things. I would never in a million years say these things. Like, this is insane. It's very hard. Okay, listen. This is important. It's very hard to maintain, listen to what I'm saying, your own humility in the face of a narcissist. Yeah, you have to be careful who you watch, because some are out to demonize and say they can never change. Yeah, the people I'm talking about are on the other side of it. I mean, those people who say that narcissists can never change they're just wrong. I mean, they're just wrong. Like, they're wrong. I gotta say this again. It is very hard for us to maintain our humility in the face of narcissism. One of the things that the Lord showed me about the spirit of Leviathan, the spirit of narcissism, is that it works both sides of the marriage. So, are all husbands narcissistic? No, like, not even close. But there are a lot of women in this community who believe they suffer from a narcissistic husband. And that's because I asked for the worst of the worst marriages. I asked God to send me the worst of the worst. And narcissism is right up there with the worst of the worst. And it's also on the rise. So, and he gave me a specific assignment to fight against the spirit of narcissism. So anyway, that's where there are so many in this community. But I need to say this again. Leviathan works both sides of the equation. Leviathan will work in one spouse, and we're going to just use the husband because we're women here. Okay, we're wives. Okay, so Leviathan works in the husband in an overt way, right? Like behaviors that are genuinely cray, right? We all know this, like responses and reactions to things that you're like, I'm sorry, I used to, the way that I described living with this, with Andrew when he had this affliction, was like living in a house littered with funny farm mirrors. You know those, like when you go to like a funny farm and there's those mirrors and they're like really wavy, and so you look like really weird and distorted. That's what it's like, right? Thank you, Holy Spirit. So this is how we're getting into this. Oh, this is so fascinating. Okay. So we are going to get to some practical things, but I got to do this piece first. Okay. I always used to describe this experience. Is it hereditary? Well, I don't know that it's hereditary. But I do know that the chances of you being a narcissist are significantly higher if you come from narcissistic parents. And that could just be nurture, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be nature. It could just be nurture, right? Andrew's parents, both of them were, his dad was a malignant narcissist. His dad took pleasure in causing him and his brother extreme pain. And he literally said that. He literally said that to Andrew. It brings me great joy to beat you. And his mom was you would call it like a classic narcissist. I've heard a lot of horror stories, as we all have. I have never met someone in person with more horror stories than Andrew. I'm sure they exist, but it's insane. I cannot even believe he's functional. Okay. So anyway, Leviathan works both sides. So he will choose, we're just going to talk about the husband, right? He'll have the husband, he'll afflict the husband with like insanity, right? It's scales shut up so tight, no air can get between, right? What does that look like practically? It means you cannot reason with them. You cannot. They are impermeable to outside advice or counsel, which is why everyone says narcissists don't go to therapy and they can't get cured, which are both lies. But they don't tend to go to therapy. They don't tend to what is considered a narcissist. I would go look that up. I'm not a therapist, so I don't want to give some kind of list that is incomplete or, skewed in one way or another. But some of the characteristics are like gaslighting, right? So basically like trying to get you to believe that reality isn't reality, right? Like that you didn't say what you did say, or you did say what you didn't say, or you did do what you didn't do, or you didn't do what you did do, or they didn't say or do what they did say or do, or they didn't mean it when you know that they did. Like gaslighting is a very common occurrence with narcissists. Their goal is to destabilize you, okay? Their goal is to keep you, but listen. Their goal is to keep you guessing. Their goal is to keep you like feeling like you're on unstable ground, because then they have the power, okay? They're the ones that are in control. If you start to feel like you can predict how things are going to go, or you feel comfortable and safe in the dynamic, they're losing control. So their goal, one of the goals of a narcissist is to keep you guessing and keep you kind of like, like just not knowing what reality is and starting to question yourself and be like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't say what maybe I did say that. Maybe I did do that. It's like it messes with your mind and your sense of like reality. Okay. And it puts you in a cognitive dissonance where you're like, am I crazy? Like, am I totally crazy? Like, well, I don't think that I'm crazy, but it's nuts what the spirit of Leviathan is capable of doing. But here's the thing. And this is why the Lord gave this the subtitle today of the loss of identity. Because only somebody with an unstable identity can be gaslit. I want to say that again. By now, this ministry and these teachings are typically the exact opposite of what everybody else is saying, right? We are not victims of gaslighting. We are victims of our own idolatry and loss of identity. Our own loss of identity is what allows us to be so deeply influenced by the gaslighting. Do you understand? So when your husband right now, so this is something else the Lord told me when I was going through my, contending and my standing and my interceding and all of that. He said to me, when Andrew was in his craziness, right? So 28 days after we got married, he broke his neck in 2 places. Okay. And he should have died on the spot, or at least been paralyzed. And I've told this story other places, but I just want to this is just context. And he changed. And I believe that there was an element of narcissistic tendencies in him, because how could you be raised by a malignant narcissist and an overt narcissist and not have them? I mean, it's not his fault. It's how he was raised. And I have also been very clear that I have had these traits. I had them in spades during my time in New Age. I mean, it was really bad. So I've never been diagnosed with it, although I would have been if I had stayed in therapy long enough. I'm sure that my therapist would have diagnosed me with narcissism. Because the grandiosity, like thinking you're better than everybody else, thinking you're special, thinking there's something about you that like, this is the overt narcissist. The covert narcissist tends to put on this kind of, act of being a victim, like everybody's out to get me. It's almost the opposite, like I'm worthless, like I'm nothing, and they're doing it so that they can guilt you into essentially being their puppet, so anyway, we all have narcissistic tendencies, and all of these psychotherapists who are on these channels that I've been telling you about say that. There's there's a spectrum. When you get into pathological narcissism is basically when it becomes, it deeply impacts and damages your life. It's like the definition of addiction, right? Addiction is when your behavior pattern is actually now destroying your life, right? It's actually damaging your relationships, your ability to hold down a job, your finances, right? All those, your ability to function, right? It's not the only way that people define addiction, but it's one of the common ones. Okay, so what I want to focus on we're going to talk about, because I have some questions here from yesterday where you're like, how do we actually do this? Okay. But I first need to focus on the fundamental underpinning that is your own loss of identity. Okay. Right. Now I understand more. I gave Leviathan too much power over me by idolizing my husband. Lord Jesus, help me find my real identity in you. Right. So hopefully if you're in the community, you've been going through, or you are going through the core curriculum, because the core curriculum does this. Like it literally, the way the Lord built this core curriculum of transformation and restoration, then what I call the holy pattern for how God's glory falls on a marriage is it's just unbelievable. So if you haven't walked through it already, you have to, you have to. But where we begin in that core series is with Jezebel, which is the counterfeit identity. Okay. It's the counterfeit identity. It's your mask, because here's the thing. Your husband isn't the only one wearing a mask. You're wearing one too. His mask, okay, comes from a loss of identity. And when you watch these interviews, you will see this. They don't know who they are. They don't have a self. Jacob even says, I don't have a self. I don't have a self. I craft myself. I create myself depending on what I can get from people. Where can I find the curriculum? It's inside the community. So join the community here. Just scan that QR code. And you'll find it. It's in the classroom. It's right there. It says core curriculum, number 1, number 2, number 3. It guides you through it really nicely. But where we start is with the mask of Jezebel, the counterfeit identity that you're walking in. Okay. The mask that you're wearing, because you also have an identity crisis. Think about it. Your identity crisis your identity crisis didn't expose you or didn't make you vulnerable to the spirit of Leviathan in yourself, but it did make you vulnerable to the spirit of Leviathan in your husband. But what you did to solve your identity crisis as a child, and I go deep into this with revelations that literally women go through deliverance. Women literally go through deliverance through this curriculum, because the truths are so profound. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So like women literally go through deliverance in this curriculum. And so I go deep into all of this, but what you did as a little girl with your identity crisis, okay, is that you made an unholy agreement with the spirit of Jezebel, whereas your husband made an unholy agreement with the spirit of Leviathan, okay? And so one of the most important things, and the Lord, we do not get to put ourselves on any kind of pedestal if you recognize like, oh yes, like my husband has narcissistic traits, you don't get to be on a pedestal about that, because what it means is that you're an idolater. And I talked about that yesterday. So if you're coming in new today, you have to go back and watch part 1, because it will completely, you will never be the same. You will never be the same. Okay. We don't get to be on a pedestal, because idolatry. And so what I said yesterday was a narcissist needs someone to worship them, and an idolater needs someone to worship, or something to worship. Right. And so that's the hook. That's the unholy hook. Okay. That's the unholy hook. Yeah. My husband keeps referring to himself as a god and our kids as demigods. I did the same thing. So that is like absolutely the mark of a narcissist, right? Like I I'm not a clinician, right? But like, I would venture to say that your husband probably would be diagnosed, right, as a narcissist. So the way to handle this, okay, yeah, I never know what mood he's coming home in, and it's hard for me to stay positive. Yep. I get it. I totally get it. But here's the thing that I need you to understand about what you just said. You're still making him an idol. Listen, you just displayed the place of your captivity and the mechanism of your captivity. You just communicated it to yourself, but you don't realize it yet. So I'm going to help you, okay? Because once you can recognize the mechanism of your captivity, you can set yourself free from it. You can, and the Lord can set you free from it. I never know what mood he's coming home in, and it's hard for me to stay positive at all times. I'm going to add one word. I never know what mood he's coming home in, and therefore, it is hard for me to stay positive at all times. His mood is your God. His mood, his behavior is your God. Because what is God, right? What is God? What is an idol in this case? Lowercase g. What we believe has power over our peace, safety, security, and well-being. Your God, your true God, could be a capital G, could be a small g, depending on your beliefs. Your God is what you believe, not theoretically, but in your behavior, what your actions and your feelings demonstrate holds ultimate power over your peace, your joy, your safety, your security, and your well-being. An idolater says, I never know what mood he's coming home in, and therefore it's hard for me to stay positive at all times, because my positivity, my positive mood, my peace is 100% dependent on his mood. His mood is your God. Okay? That's the captivity that you have been living in. That's the prison that you have been living in. That's the hell that you have been living in. And I know that hell. I lived that hell. That was my dad. I loved my dad. I still love my dad. I loved my dad. I adored him. I thought he was just the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, he was, he still is a priest. He's not a practicing priest, but he was a priest, and he had a church, and his sermons were just the best sermons ever in the entire universe. And I just looked up to him so much, and we just had this great relationship. And he would sit me on his lap when I was 6 months old, and he was in college studying English, and he would read his papers to me, with his multi-syllabic, advanced vocabulary. And we would go out to lunch in high school, and he would stride through. He's 6'4", and he would stride down the hallway, with kids up to his waist, like he was parting the Red Sea, and come to my classroom and, come on, Lorna, I'm taking you to lunch. And on the weekends we'd go to lunch and stay for dinner because we talked so much. I mean, he was I just love my dad so much, and he was a total monster, and I was absolutely terrified of him, and he was a complete tyrant because I never knew which dad was going to show up at the door. I never knew. It could be the dad that I loved and adored and who cherished me and just thought I was the best thing ever, and who just loved me so much. Or it could be the dad who was shrouded in darkness and anger and rage, who would lash out with not with his hands, but with his tongue at anybody who dared to make a peep in the house, kind of thing. Okay. So I know what that's like. And when Andrew broke his neck and just that traumatic brain injury was like the last straw. Like he had already had like 8 before that, okay, in his life. And I don't know, like I can't explain it. He changed into like a different person, like not a different person, but just erratic behavior, rage outbursts, like severe depression, like just it was insanity in the home. He actually was dying for 5 months, which neither of us knew. Okay. He was literally dying from this brain injury. It was shutting down his autonomic systems, his methylation system, it was like insane. Okay. The devil tried to kill him. So I come by this honestly when you say that, right? I never know what mood he's coming home in, and it's hard for me to stay positive at all times. I come by an understanding of that honestly. And what I have to say to you is it's your loss of identity that has caused you, because you don't know who you are, and you don't know whose you are really. Like you say you're a believer, right? But you don't live like it. You don't live like you are your Father's precious child who he loves and adores more than anything, except for all the other ones he loves and adores more than anything. You live as if your Father in heaven is non-existent, uncaring, distant, impotent, right? That's how you actually conduct yourself. That's how you actually conduct your life. When, the rubber meets the road and you're in a situation in your actual lived life, God is just a concept and your husband is your God. For all intents and purposes, for how you navigate your daily life, your husband is your God. Right? Your marriage is your God. Your husband's mood is your God. And this is what the Lord is saying. It's not what your husband is doing that is causing the chaos and the insanity and the breakdown of your sanity and your peace and all the things. It's not what your husband is doing. It is how you are responding to it. It's how you are responding to it that is creating havoc in your own soul, you see. I'm reminded of, I think it's Leviticus 26, where, hold on, just try to find it. And then I do want to get into some actual practical, like how do I, actually do this? Let's see. So I want you all, this is your homework for today, is to read Leviticus 26, okay? Because you are going to understand the extreme, the curse that falls on your life due to your own idolatry. Okay, Leviticus 26 is talking about, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then this blessings, right? And if you don't, then curses, right? So it's about more than idolatry, but it is, I believe, most fundamentally about idolatry, because the very first verse says, "Ye shall make you no idols nor graven image. Neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down to it. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord." So, and then and then it's the blessings and then the curses, right? So idolatry is at the root and at the heart of whether your life is cursed or blessed. Okay? And yes, idolatry is the first commandment, is against idolatry. You guys, the first commandment is against idolatry. And the first verse in Leviticus 26, where he talks about the blessings and the curses that fall on you, the first verse is about idolatry. It's serious, and we don't understand the degree to which we live in idolatry in this country and as believers. And this is why I'm saying you might be a believer in your heart and in your belief system, but you're not acting like a believer in your practical lived life. You're acting like an idolater. Okay? So, when you how do we walk out letting the idols go? Sorry, I'm just reading. I just want to make sure that I'm not. Do you think this can manifest late in life because of trauma and grief? Absolutely. So move back in or not, reconnected 3 months ago and hesitate to move back in. Okay, so like some of these, I don't know that I can answer these like super specific questions right now. But make sure that, first of all, join the community, and then make sure you come to the Thursday mentorship. There's free mentorship inside the community. The community is $1 a month. Inside there, there's free mentorship every Thursday. And I have a feeling that we're going to be sitting in this place of dealing with, how do you deal with narcissism? How do you deal with gaslighting? How do you deal with, with this particular type of turmoil? Because it is hard to find anything out there other than like, well, leave and divorce because narcissists are irredeemable, or, on the other extreme side, like just deal with it, right? Neither of those are biblical. But what I want to say, and then we're going to get to some questions, is if the only thing that you take away from this session today is what I've just said, it's going to bless you and start to free you tremendously. Okay. Which is, resist the temptation to demonize your husband and to make his mood, his gaslighting, his lies, his deception, his denial, the reason why you're struggling. Resist the temptation to do that, because his gaslighting, his lies, his behavior is not why you are in crisis. It's because you have placed him in such a position of power over you, your peace, your well-being, your safety, your security, that your God in heaven, who is your peace, your safety, your security, cannot move and bless you or your marriage or anything. Okay. I used to say that my marriage is why my mental health fell apart and my physical health fell apart so severely that I couldn't walk across my bedroom floor. I used to say, well, it was my marriage. Now I say it was my idolatry of my marriage, because that's the actual truth. If God is for us, who can be against us? Okay. I get this, but at what point do you draw the line? Because those things are abuse. So there are gradations of this in a marriage, right? And and I've said many, many times, you are no match for your husband's demons, okay? And he's no match for yours. And so the most accurate way to be saying it is you're no match for each other's demons, okay? Because I promise you, you're the idolater and he's the narcissist, okay? Don't forget this. So the fact is, you have demons also. It is impossible to be in the kind of idolatry that would have you be in a marriage for this long to get to this level of crisis without having a good, posse of demons hanging around you and attached to you, okay? So he's not the only one that has demons, okay? So I just need to say that. So you may need to separate. You may need to go no contact. This is serious, okay? This is very serious. Narcissistic behavior and abuse is nothing. You can't. The spirit of Leviathan is a stronghold, right? Is a strong man, a giant in the spirit. And in fact, in Job 41, it says, lay your hand on him, remember the battle, do it no more, right? So look, we are, like I'm saying, we are no match, right, for this spirit. So you may need to separate. You may need to go no contact, right? That may absolutely be necessary, not only to protect you from his demons, but so God can start becoming your God again. So that God can start becoming your God again. Right? And start reforming your true identity in Christ. Purifying you. Refining you. Putting you through the refiner's fire. Right? Burning off that mask that you have. That Jezebel mask that you have. That mask of the idolater that you have. Okay. And then bringing you back together. Now, so that's one approach, right? The other approach is you don't feel you're called to do that, and you're actually felt like called to stay in an atmosphere, stay in a dynamic, stay in an active relationship with your husband who has narcissistic traits. And if that is the case, then it's tough. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. Somebody asked, so I want to speak to, how do you actually walk this out? There's like somebody, Andrew's talking to somebody. How do you actually walk this out with a man who is unstable, who is gaslighting you, who is lying to you, who may be cheating on you? What I recommend is that you don't try to defend or prove or reason. Yeah. How do I live in peace while being in this environment? He's becoming worse the more I refuse to respond. I mean, again, some of this takes a little bit more of me understanding your actual situation, because it may be that you need to separate and go no contact, or separate, or at least separate. I'm a very strong believer in separation, and even if it's really intense, no contact. I'm a very strong believer in that. I think probably more marriages need to go through separation than do. And I think, and I want you to consider that God is calling you to separation, but your idolatry of what your husband is going to think of you, your idolatry of what your husband is going to believe about that, or how your husband is going to feel, or how he's going to respond to that, or how other people are going to respond to that, is preventing you from obeying God. I want you to consider that you actually have been, if I would say or not say anything in response to the situation kept getting worse, we're separated. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if your husband has become so demonized that it is mostly his demons that are functioning in his life, I really believe that separation is essential. Your presence causes the demons to manifest even more. Yeah. Your presence causes the demons to manifest even more. Because the spirit of narcissism, Leviathan, looks for projection, wants to project. The spirit of Leviathan it gets your husband to a place where he has got to construct inside this echo chamber of the mind, okay, this echo chamber of the soul, scales shut up so tight no air can get between, shut up together as with a closed seal, right? Sealed. Think about what's happening psychologically and what's being described in those verses psychologically. Your husband is trapped in an airtight, dark echo chamber of the mind. And the reason the scales are shut so tight, no air can get between, and there's that seal, is because he cannot trust, and he does not trust, anything that anybody says from the outside, because his identity has been so destroyed and so damaged by his upbringing, by his parents, so shredded, so attacked, that those scales of pride, basically like, no, I am somebody, no, I am something, no, I am important, right? Those scales of pride in defense lock up, okay, completely lock up. And now no one can tell you who you are. And this is why people say narcissists never go to therapy, because they don't tend to be the one to go to therapy, because you're not going to tell a narcissist that there's anything wrong with them. They can't afford to hear that. They can't afford to hear it. Psychologically, they can't afford to hear it. Do you understand? It would destroy them. I'm going to change my rings around. Okay. So yeah, he tells me he's not enough. Their sense of self is completely destroyed. Like, if you listen to these interviews, okay, you'll hear them. They hate themselves. They absolutely loathe themselves. They think they're disgusting people. They're completely empty. They're not empty, but like, this is what they believe. They're completely empty. They don't have a self. Okay. And so, they cannot hear anything you're going to say. They are completely shut off to it out of self-defense, okay, out of necessity. They have to be this impervious. out of survival, psychic, and I don't mean like psychic, like I can see and stuff into the spirit. I mean having to do with your psyche, having to do with your mind and your spirit, and your soul. Okay, psychic survival requires that they be impervious to everything you're saying. Okay. This is why it is often necessary. Yes. Does this include him rewriting our story and saying he doesn't feel guilty for anything he's doing? He's in therapy and always said there's something wrong with him. Absolutely. Yep. Is it normal to feel as if you are the narcissist after so long? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My husband is the best at everything. Everywhere we go, no one can be better than him. Yep. You guys, this is why the Lord's having me talk about this, because I can't even compliment him. I congratulated him the other week about something he's doing better. He took it as a criticism. Right, because you're pointing out that he didn't do it well before. And you're also putting yourself in a position of superiority because you're observing his progress. I want you to understand this. He in that moment realized, oh, I have somebody in my life who is observing my progress, meaning they are observing my movement from being weak to being strong, my movement from having some flaws to having less flaws. He felt exposed. He felt like judged, actually, right? Because you're like, oh, you're doing better. Oh, so I totally understand why he did that. Totally understand. So here's the thing. If you're going to choose to stay in this dynamic, okay? Number one, I would just say, make sure you're not in rebellion against the Lord. Because I truly believe okay. Holy Spirit just dropped something in my spirit. You ready? Biblically, the examples that we have of deliverance from the narcissistic spirit have always involved separation and solitude. So Saul in a journey where the Lord has to meet this person on a journey that they are on alone. This is incredible. Saul, okay, say it again. The instances that we have in scripture of somebody being delivered of the narcissistic spirit, the spirit of Leviathan, have always involved a journey away from that captivity, and it is a journey they take alone. So Saul on the road to Damascus, Paul on the road to Damascus, he was on a journey that he was embarking on alone. Now he had other men with him, but this was his mission. This was his mission. And God met him on the path. God met him on a road. God met him on a journey that he was taking. Nebuchadnezzar. God met Nebuchadnezzar out in the flippin', fields, the forest, in his madness, away from the kingdom. Away from the kingdom. God, in his mercy, in many cases, needs to take the narcissist away to deal with him, because there are things that the narcissist has to see about himself. It's going to be just too difficult and too painful to do in front of you or anybody. Right? God in his mercy took Nebuchadnezzar away from his kingdom. Paul was on a road somewhere. He wasn't in his home. He wasn't in his hometown. He wasn't with his people. He wasn't with his, okay? And the prodigal son, God encountered him away from his home, away from his tribe, by himself. I mean, he was surrounded by other people, but you know what I'm saying? It's like this was his own, again, his journey. This was his journey of madness. Nebuchadnezzar, same thing. His own private journey of madness. Prodigal son, his own private journey of madness. Paul on the road to Damascus, his own private journey of madness. He was mad. Okay. So I really believe, yeah. So how does it look with co-parenting? Like, right. Like there are cases where it cannot be clean. Like it can't be, like, by clean, I mean like black and white, right? Yeah, Jonah. I would just ask the Lord, look, who was I talking to? This incredible, yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you so much. God bless you. And also, this is great. I want to read this because it's great. This is what God said. You have to leave him to me, and I will meet your husband there. Get out of my way. Wow. Praise God for that confirmation. And also how interesting, you have to leave him to me. It's like you're leaving your husband, but you're leaving your husband to God. How fascinating, right? Part of the reason why I don't want to separate is I want to be part of his deliverance and healing. Spiritual pride. Yeah, we feel like we need to be, monitoring and overseeing, and we want to be part of it. And you may be part of it. I was part of Andrew's, and I didn't think that I was going to be. I totally thought that he was going to return, like completely delivered, set free, transformed, like Superman with a cape and a big S on his chest, not the case. But I want to share with you. So I talked with someone yesterday in a one-on-one who just has had this absolute amazing, just absolutely another miraculous restoration, just from just absolute pure unmitigated hell, fighting insanity, every day, to just like beautiful, wonderful, peaceful, harmonious, loving, all the things. And she said, but she did sense that they needed a time of separation, and he was out of work, and but she didn't know how it would work or something. I can't quite remember, but she really felt like, I feel like, we're supposed to separate for a time, because we just need that. We just need to be separated for a minute. So God orchestrated that the only job opportunity that came his way was in Mexico. And I think they live in Texas, right? And he resisted, right, for several months, I think, for a while. And then was like, this is literally the only opportunity that's coming my way. I have to take it. So they had their separation. How does it work with kids are involved? I don't have the answer for that. I guess I'm not sure. I mean, obviously you can't go no contact, right? You can't go no contact. I don't know what you're saying. Pure joy sows a life. I don't quite understand that comment. Here's the thing. God will find a way. Okay. If you're willing, he will find a way. If you're willing, he will do the work to make it work. He will orchestrate, okay, but here's the thing. So somebody just said boundaries, only talk about the kids. We are not to place boundaries and like rules on our husbands, right? That's not our place. So when I mean separation, I mean separation. Like, do you think separation can happen even if they don't leave the house? Like, no, like, I don't know. But like, I don't get that. Like, that's not separation. Like, the whole point is out of each other's atmosphere, right? Like, out of each other's atmosphere. Isn't no contact a boundary? It's some of this is getting into a little bit of semantics, okay? What I mean is we are not to give our husband rules. We are not to place like rules and restrictions and parameters. There's one woman who talked about this in the community, like, I give my husband ultimatums, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunate, and that's why your marriage is not moving forward, because we don't give ultimatums. We don't do that, okay? How do you know when it's time to go back? God will orchestrate it. So what's happening, and make sure you guys, first of all, join the community, scan the QR code right here. He came up with only talk about the kids. Great, I love it. In the curriculum, right? In the core curriculum, Jezebel, Esther, Joshua, Hebrews. I think it's in Jezebel. There was this incredible revelation that left us literally in tears. It left everybody on this live stream in absolute and complete tears. It was Esther. I think it was Esther. The Esther series. With the revelation that what he's doing with these marriage restorations is he is walking our marriages through the pattern of a traditional Hebrew wedding, okay? Where you are betrothed, you're actually husband and wife, you're actually you're considered married, but you're not living together yet, okay? And the son, the husband, leaves after the betrothal and goes to his father's house to prepare a home, to build a home for his bride onto his father's house. This is, I'm sure you're thinking of that's what Jesus said he was doing. Yeah, not like metaphorical language. Like, this is what actual Hebrew Jewish bridegrooms did for their brides. Like, they literally would leave. Like, we had a betrothal service. Like, okay, we're married. Okay, great, you're mine, I'm yours. Okay, and then the bridegroom leaves to go back to his father's house to build a home for his bride onto his father's home. And his father oversees the building of the home. And when his father listen to what I'm saying, translate symbolically what I'm saying. When his father decides the home is ready, he tells his son, okay, go get your bride. There's also something happening in the bride that is reflected in the story of Esther. During this time of separation, the bride is preparing for the reunion. The bride is being purified. The bride is being refined. The bride is being cleansed. The bride is being, okay? That's what's happening. That's what's happening in these marriage restorations. The enemy got a hold of the pattern and the process, and the Lord is restoring the original pattern. okay? And so this is why I believe separation is so healthy and important for marriages who have fallen into this level of crisis, okay? Because it's like God is wanting to take you both out of this twisted, like demonic, like atmosphere, right? And be like, okay, you go over here because you need to go through your Esther preparation period. And you, son, come over here with me, right? I mean, he's with both of us, right? And you come over here so I can teach you who you truly are in Jesus, right? Put us in our separation corners, absolutely. And then, and I, speaking, God is speaking, I will send you back together. I will orchestrate the reunion. Because so much of the time your flesh has orchestrated this reunion. A lot of the times your flesh orchestrated the marriage itself, right? Your flesh, you and your husband's flesh was 100% like orchestrating everything from day one, which is why you're fallen into such disrepair. So God is wanting to take hold of your marriage and say, we're doing this my way. We're doing this my way. Is it the door says that I will reveal you to your husband? I'm not sure what that question is. How an Esther is formed is the video. Oh gosh. Okay. Thank you so much. I like said gush. I meant to say good and gosh. I came out gush. I always told him he was pressured to make me. Yeah. I mean, you entered into the union in your flesh, right? And so it's just been devolving ever since. And so now the Lord is wanting to make this right. And he's wanting, and it's not a punishment, right? It is, I need to work with both of you individually. You've got to go through different processes, right? The husband is doing a building and a rebuilding, and the wife is doing a purification and a reformation and things. Okay. My husband moved back to his father's house. How beautiful. Yeah. Okay. I think I have to end. I'm late for my next call. Okay, guys, this was amazing. Tomorrow, I don't know what we're talking about tomorrow. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So tomorrow is the last day of the fast. Praise God. Praise God. Make sure you also come tonight. We are doing a midnight PST anyway, corporate prayer and worship. It's I'm going to be reading all of the things that we were supposed to read. I'm basically going to be reading Hebrews, the entire book of Hebrews, Romans 8, Numbers 13 and 14. We're going to be praying in tongues. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you come to that. The link is in at the top of the main homepage in the community. And then tomorrow, for the final day of the fast, we're going to be talking about this crazy connection between fast and fasten, between fasting and fastening. Fastening heaven's will and heaven's designs on earth, and a fast, and the distinction between those two words, the connection between those two words, and probably more that'll come up later. So anyway, I got to run. Got to go to my Fire Bears call. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow.